20% of mortgages will skyrocket. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your ice-cold summer coffee and let's have a look at, well, what our treasurer is warning us about. 20% of mortgages will skyrocket. Now, to those of you that are regulars on the channel, this isn't going to be surprising. We're all aware of the impending, well, fixed interest rate cliff that is going to appear, where those of us who either didn't trust the Reserve Bank's promise that rates wouldn't go up until 2024 promise, or people who just FOMO'd in and could only afford very low fixed rates, are going to go off those fixed rates and will start to hit variable rates, and it'll be a big jump. Now, the media is all over this because it's negative news. It's scary. It'll get the views. Never seen before. Rates cliff to crush house prices. Never seen before. There you go. I mean, crush. That's a good word. Cliff, yeah, never seen before. That's probably the one that really gets the views. It's all with the algorithm, guys. That's how it is. You know, from the Mercury. Mortgage prisoners are held captive by zombie lenders. Oh boy. I mean, it's the end of the world, guys. Look at this, 2 articles. Distressed sellers and house prices dive. Okay, well, you know, we have to be quite skeptical with this. Now we understand how the media portrays information, how they're going to do it. Let's have a look to see what our treasurer has to say, and then we'll run some scenarios of, well, how it's going to impact people. And if you're in this situation, you need to realize how much more money you're going to have to spend so you can prepare. It's not the end of the world, even though, you know, the news likes to paint it that, because they have to. They're a business. They get the eyeballs, guys. It's like me as a YouTuber. I can do a positive video. No one cares. No one cares. Or if you do, check out my other channel, Heise Does, where I discuss, well, things that I do as completely irrelevant of the news. So, our treasurer, Jim Chalmers, reveals major issues facing Aussies in 2023. I wouldn't say he reveals it. We're all aware of it, but hey, maybe not. So let's have a look. Treasurer Jim Chalmers has revealed his grim outlook for the Australian economy in 2023, with one big issue predicted to spell trouble for hip pockets. Don't worry, our Prime Minister is going to reduce our power bills, and he's got a plan. And renewables, they're meant to be cheaper than everything else, aren't they? Life's just going to get more expensive, guys. Just wait and see. Speaking to radio station 2GB on Tuesday, Dr. Chalmers pointed at one in particular of 5 major concerns facing the national economy as the factor most likely to hurt Aussie bank balances. I think one of the big issues here is a fifth of mortgages will become variable rate mortgages in 2023, he said. Okay, so the concern is this people who FOMO'd in and could only just afford the variable rate mortgages. I saw someone on Twitter was sharing a post from 2019 about how bad the banks were because a family lost everything because, you know, they went off interest only. Their interest only period ended and all of a sudden they couldn't afford what they bought. Have we gotten to the point where our expectations are so low of the general public that they aren't expected to plan that far ahead? Is that a new thing? Was it always like that? I don't think it was like that when I was growing up. Has that changed? Maybe I'm just old. Many Aussies who entered into fixed-rate mortgages at the height of soaring house prices are going to see their contracts switch over to variable in 2023. Dr. Chalmers reiterated that interest rate rises take some time to be felt in the economy and predicted Australians would be hit hardest in the middle of the year. Yeah, he's probably right there. He's probably right there. But not all Australians, only some. That's when the interest rate hikes are expected to hit the hardest. Interest rates are just one of 5 crucial issues the Treasurer forecasts will cause problems for Australians this year. An extraordinarily large wave of COVID in China. Does anyone even care about COVID anymore? Or maybe I'm just... It's so old news. We've got the antivirals. She'll be right, mate. The number of people I know that have gotten sick and gotten over it now, it's just time to move on. But the media won't, because there's all this fear about China and the wave. And I mean, there'll be a lot of people that will suffer and will have a tough time, but Life is steadily returning to normal everywhere. The war in Ukraine, the situation in the US and UK, interest rates, and the threat of natural disasters. Well, the threat of natural disasters is always there. That's never going to change. COVID, I mean, we've got ways to manage that now. Not like it's not unknown anymore. People shouldn't be afraid of it, to be quite honest. The war in Ukraine is really hanging on a lot longer than people anticipated. We'll have to see if that resolves itself this year, although it is winter. And the US and UK, well, they've always got situations. And then if their situations go negative, they may start juicing up their economy and doing crazy things. Hey, could be good for us, hey? He indicated the growing wave of COVID-19 cases in China will bring a substantial amount of risk to the supply chain. We need to make our supply chain more resilient to these major global hits. There's a process, we can't just do that in one hit. Boosting manufacturing on home soil and value adding to hard-hit areas of the global supply chain are medium-term strategies the federal government is considering. I still remember when we had the whole mask issue, and I was talking to a neighbor who worked for the military, and they had to fly down there and help fabricate components so they could get a second mask manufacturing machine running for this Australian manufacturer. Because they only had two machines and they were salvaging the parts from another to keep another one going. Because, well, it's cheaper to manufacture overseas. So what do you think happened to that company once all the hoo-ha and craziness of COVID disappeared? Do you think the government kept buying their contracts? Nah, kept going overseas. I mean, this is all rhetoric from a Labor treasurer. Of course, they're going to try and play to their base, but it all goes out the window when reality hits. I mean, Labor isn't supporting the core industry like it used to, and that used to be their core base. So, yeah, we'll see. Everyone's a globalist at the checkout. That's just the reality of it, guys. It comes as the government is under considerable scrutiny for bringing in new restrictions for travellers arriving in Australia from China, despite the health advice suggesting otherwise. Returning travellers will now have to produce a negative COVID test at least 48 hours before arriving in Australia as of this Thursday. Well, they don't want to miss out on all of the bringing in the restrictions and all the funds, do they? Dr. Chalmers defended the decision, claiming it was taken out of an abundance of caution and was consistent with the actions of other nations, including US, Japan, Italy, and England. We'd rather be cautious about it than not. Well, I mean, there you go. I'm of the point now where, isn't it all old news and people are getting on with their lives? I guess it's the more and more. I mean, I've only had one instance. It was last year, someone going off about social distancing at me at Bunnings. I couldn't believe it. I thought he was being facetious. But I think the more and more people that have friends that just get well, survive, and get on with life, the better. And the more normal we can get, because we don't want these interventions. They cause significant disruption and damage. But anyway, back. Did I just lose a light here? Anyway, back to. Yeah, I did. Anyway, back to the interest rates. Now, let's say first home buyer, $479,000, fixed at 1.99, and they've got 360, so 30-year loans. We'll say they're instantly changed just for the sake of this argument to demonstrate how big an increase it would be. Now, 6.1, which bank is that? I mean, we could go here, say variable. We'll do CommBank, owner-occupier, principal and interest variable, 70 to 80% RI, 4.84%. I think. So you're looking at a 40% increase in your mortgage. So you're going from $1,768 per month to $2,525 a month. So this is the first home buyer average here, $479,000 through all of Australia. Now, if you bought in, say, the average mortgage in New South Wales is much higher, then you're looking, again, still a 40% increase, but you need to find another $1,200 a month. But you're already paying for $2,900. So that's another $14,000 a month you have to come up with. But hopefully, if you've got a $786,000 mortgage, you would have the income to support that. You most likely would have both people working in your relationship. If you're doing it by yourself, well, good luck. We're not in that universe is over. We're not in boomer time anymore, where you could support a household on one income. It's a lot harder to do these days. So yeah, there will be people coming off fixed rate mortgages. Now, I'm one of these people. I got in at 1.99. That's why I have the 1.99 there as an example. But I bought years ago. So my mortgage isn't $786,000, guys. So I'm not particularly worried. I mean, we'll see an increase as well, and we'll have to prepare for it, but it's going to get closer to the rates that we were used to in the past, because this is insane. Now, here's the thing. We'll see more and more sob stories, more and more articles coming out warning about this, playing it up, because it's negative news and it will get the headlines. But how many people are going to be first home buyers that are sitting on, a $500,000 mortgage? They're not going to be too bad when they see the increase. Anyway, let's have a talk about it. So, what do you reckon, guys? Do you think it's going to be a huge problem? Will it have a big impact on the housing market? I mean, I'm seeing the drastic falls of like bespoke high-end properties around the country, on the market forever, 30% crashes. Yeah, because it's all gone up stupid amounts in the last year. Here's the thing. The fact that property prices are coming over an overheated artificial peak doesn't mean that they're going to keep crashing down to really low levels. It doesn't mean you're going to get that 40-50% discount that you're hoping for. Housing is not going to be affordable for the average Aussie in Australia unless something drastically changes. And what's drastically changed? We had a huge disruption to the economy due to lockdowns and interventions, and that resulted in significant government stimulus. What do we have now? We've got, interest rates are going up, so that means some people are going to be forced to sell, but we've also got other support mechanisms in the economy, guys, that I've discussed in, we'll have a look at it here. Guys, we'll have a look at it here, because I think it's quite important, the fact that, we're talking about the housing bust and 5 reasons why it might not happen. Because we're seeing here the predictions and the IMF papers, and everyone is talking about it. So affordability is a joke in Australia, but I'm sadly becoming more and more of the opinion that affordability isn't going to be fixed in Australia. If anything, we're shifting now, where housing isn't for everyone anymore. Everyone in Australia isn't going to be a homeowner. You've got to be 2 people on a 6-figure income each, and everyone else will just have to rent. I'm not saying that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I think it's terrible. I think it's a terrible shift in our country and in our culture. It's taking away what was one of the advantages of Australia. My father immigrated over here, and you could build a house. He built a house, raised a family, built a future here. People would come to Australia from around the world for that. And now that seems to be going away. And the reason I would say is they're not in my backyard crowd, three levels of government not working together, and every do-gooder putting more and more legislation onto the cost of builds. So, here we go. Here we've got very few bad loans. You're looking at 0.35% are past due. So we're not seeing a huge uptick in loans. If anything, it's getting better. They're reducing. So we need to keep an eye on that. You've got, migrants and students are returning, guys. They're coming back to Australia. They haven't been scared away. And here you go. You've got all the top countries. India and China are coming back, because they may not necessarily be coming here buying houses, but there'll be increasing demand for rental stock, which is already shortage in supply. There'll be increasing demand for all the student accommodations that everyone loves, and all those inner-city apartments. You've got construction apocalypse. Our ability to address the future supply for housing has been damaged. And I would say part of that is due to the government overheating the market, guys. Remember, our good friends there, they came to the rescue, guys. Here's the not in my backyard crowd. But they kept the zombies alive, and they overheated the market significantly with the insane cash rate, with home builder, with now shared equity, with 5 and 2% government loan guarantees. The only good thing about those little 5 and 2%ers, guys, is that it's only about 10,000 people. So we're not as stupid as the Americans. We're there just throwing money at anyone who could breathe thing, and the government guaranteed the loans. So, external administrations, there's the dip. It's come back right back up again. And government support. As I said, they're juicing the market. And then this is where 50% of Aussies live, in these 3 areas. So it's just worth keeping all of that in mind, everyone. So guys, thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create, there are a few ways you can support us financially on YouTube or Patreon, using our referral links, buying our pocket squares, or calling us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next episode. And let's hope the storm doesn't wash away all the construction work I've been doing, digging out foundations. It's weather predictions for tonight, guys. Not looking forward to it. Take care. I'll see you later.